Hello everybody, this is Malavar TC1, coming at you with the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia updated unit tier list for SS and S rank. As we go through them, you'll notice that there's quite a bit of changes since the last unit tier list, because it's been about a year since the last one. I don't know if it's been a full year, but it's been quite a while since my last unit tier list. This is the real deal, this is legit. This is a lot of information coming at you, so I don't have all the information I'm going to be tearing out about every single character. This is pretty much just a brief rundown of the best characters that you can get throughout the game in its current state in JP. Obviously, some of these characters won't be available in Global for a while, but currently in Japan, this is the best of the best. There will be some A rank units towards the end, so just if you don't see somebody on your list that you like, just keep in mind there are more that are good in other situations, but this is all around. So let's move on to the SS rank, the very first. And as you see at the beginning and top of this list, we have Cait Sith. Cait Sith has one of the best support skills in the entire game. For the whole party, it creates max brave up and supplies brave and increased attack power, as well as a brave and HP regeneration constantly. It is so good. It is very top tier, used a lot, and used very much for any kind of boss battle. Very high, very good. And it goes for the whole team. Very wonderful. It has a great full enemy attack as well. For the toy soldiers, that attack does so much damage. It increases Cait Sith's brave to a very high amount, and I believe it's like 1.5 times the amount of brave that Cait Sith has at the time, so it's really good. If it maximizes its brave to past a certain extent, it also does an HP damage at the end. So that's the only negative part about Cait Sith. If you don't reach that maximized brave with its attack, it won't pull off the attack. That's the only negative. The rest of it, so good. Such an amazing character. Let's move on to the next one. We have Leigh. Oops. Got a sneak peek of the next one. Leigh. Now, Leigh has an intense Brave plus HP attack that has a chance of not only launching the enemy, very high chance of launching the enemy, and very often, as well as delaying the enemy actions. So really high chance to launch and delay. Very useful in all types of situations. Now, it's also important to point out that the Brave attack of Leigh has a chance to increase the Brave of all allies. Really good. If you have all the passives and you have all the upgrades, the Brave attack of Leigh is really helpful for the entire team. The only downfall of Leigh is the unpredictableness of launching. Even though it's a really high probability, and it will happen very often, you don't know when it's going to happen. So if you're planning for it with your team, or you're just waiting for that right moment, you don't know if it's going to happen. Moving on, we have Selfie. Now you got a quick sneak preview of Selfie, and what makes her so great is she has a great drain attack that does an HP attack increase of 30% of the overall brave damage that she has, and then heals all of your allies' HP with the excess added to the brave. That is so good. What an amazing attack. It not only damages your enemy, but it increases your own brave as well as HP for all your allies. Wonderful attack. On top of that, she has a reduction of the brave damage done to your team by 30% with her wall ability. So she has two abilities that are really good, her drain and wall. Wall, any kind of damage that's coming to your team, reduces 30% of it for brave. Really good, really good. She also has great passive potential. Her amazing passive potential raises the attack, max brave, and initial brave of all your allies. Really good passive potential. The only thing that is bad about Selfie is she has really weak brave attacks herself. So if she doesn't have any abilities left, or she's just kind of like you're stuck trying to reduce the brave of an enemy, you are kind of lucked out with her. So an enemy that focuses on not taking HP damage till their brave is gone, Selfie's not that good against. Moving on to the S rank. Now, as you notice, the SS rank, not that many at this time, because the SS rank is really hard to get to in this current state of JP, because a lot of the bosses are really, really strong and require lots of intense support. So, moving on to the S rank, you'll notice a lot of support here as well. First, we have Waka. Now, Waka's support ability is great. It adds initial brave, Max Brave, attack power, defense, and speed. That is so good. It has just a huge plethora of boom, you are buffed. Not only that, he can double his own Max Brave attack power and defense very often. It makes him a really strong candidate for being able to be having full stats and making your teammates have full stats as well. The only downfall for him is long quests. So if you're in a boss battle that takes a long time, he's not very sustainable. He does really well in kind of mediocre, like medium to short range adventures or quests, but not in long battles. So that's something you got to keep out for. Now moving on to Setzer. Now Setzer's got two main things that kind of put him in the running for S. He can freeze the enemy brave. So if your enemy's brave is has a high potential of increasing really high, really fast, and doing a lot of damage to your team, he'll freeze that. Boom. They can't go above a certain amount. They can't increase anymore. Not only that, he has continuous attacks that make sure his brave never goes to waste. So he'll throw out his cards, raise his brave a whole bunch, and then do an HP attack. Raise his brave a whole bunch, do an HP attack. He'll do that 3 times in a row, so your brave never gets leaked. And leaking is when you have too much brave coming in and it doesn't add to the HP damage. So just keep that in mind. He's got his brave never going to waste. Also, his brave is given to all allies too. So when he attacks with his brave and stuff like that, there's brave given to your allies as well. Really wonderful. Also, you've got to keep in mind that there's not that many uses of his freeze attack. So that's the only downfall. He only gets it 3 times. So even though it's useful as it is, he only gets it 3 times. But it can be a game winner, a game saver. Moving on, we've got Squall. Squall has been in the tier list for quite a while now. He's up and down sometimes, but he is pretty much the king of damage in many respects. His Renzokuken does a lot of damage to initial enemies, as well as all enemies next to them. If you're fighting multiple enemies and you're attacking with Renzokuken, you not only do damage to the main enemy, but you do damage to the side ones as well. A ton of damage. He has it multiple times. He can do brave damage to all of them, as well as doing an HP attack after that brave attack. He's got so much damage coming out of him. And not only that, he not only can do this damage, he's constantly increasing his speed. So he always is kind of first or front of the line. He's always putting himself at the front of the line. Just tons of damage constantly. Really great to have if you need a damager. One thing, though, is you're given brave over a certain amount, then the enemy damage doesn't trigger. So if somebody on your team gave you brave, and you're now like, oh man, now I have to attack. If you've gotten over a certain amount, your damage to all the enemies won't trigger, which is unfortunate. So you've got to keep that in mind when you use his attacks. His potential pretty much comes when he's at lower brave. Moving on, we have Vaughn. Now Vaughn's been on the tier list before. He's actually been really good for a really long time. He has multiple hits that are very high power. Like, he does so much damage, and on top of that, his buffs or his attacks increase his own damage. They buff himself. So the more he attacks with the same moves, or the more attacks he does, the more he gets buffed. He just constantly getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And they're a combined attack of both brave and HP. Really good. The one thing about him is he has a lot of attribute types, and so many that a lot of enemies have potential to resist him. Like, he has a ton of attributes. So any enemy that has resistance to any of those attributes, that can really bog down whether how much you do a lot of damage or not. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you're fighting, he's either doing damage to that enemy, or they're not resisting him. Stuff like that. Moving on, we have Papalymo. Woo, Papalymo. Now, for Papalymo, his regular HP attacks are upgraded. What I mean by that is they get the attributes of his extended ability. So they're brave. They not only are HP attacks, they're brave plus HP attacks with an ability attached to it. So if his extended ability that you use his ice move, he has an HP attack that's ice. If you use his fire move, his HP attack becomes fire. So they get the extended ability, which is really great. He can do many magical attacks constantly attacking with magic. Really good magical attacker. His buffs. Oh, this is the icing on the cake. His buffs will not be pushed out, even if more buffs or debuffs are given. So if you're fighting an enemy that just does tons of debuffs, like debuff, he will keep, not only him, but the allies he gives the buffs to, will keep the buffs that they have from him. They will not be pushed out. So, really good to have. Next, we have Oran. Now, Oran gives great debuffs to enemies that make them weak to physical short-range attacks. So if you have a strong fighter on your team, like a puncher or a sword fighter, and they're short range, they're going to do tons of damage with Oran on their team. He can also lower the enemy turn order very often, which is very helpful because your team gets a lot more hits on these enemies that have their debuffs, physical attack resistance lowered. Really good. Now, the only thing is he's not good against enemies that can't be debuffed. If they can't be debuffed, he has really no potential against them. Also, one major downfall with Oran. He only reaches the S rank if he has his EX. If he doesn't, he's not that good. Because the number of abilities he can use without his EX is so low. But with the EX, he gets a lot more. Really good with the EX. Moving on, we have Garnet. Now with Garnet, she weakens all enemies' resistances to lightning, water, and gives them a particular weakness that makes it so they are weak to attacks by 1.5 times your regular teammate's attack. So not only gives resistance lowered for those types of attributes, but makes them weaker in general. She also raises the firepower of your entire party at the same time, so that kind of goes hand in hand with it. She has an amazing EX, HP, and Brave Heal. And because it's EX, and it's a huge EX, HP, and Brave Heal, because it's EX, it can be used unlimited number of times. Every time that EX comes back up, boom, that's a full HP and Brave Heal for your entire team. It's so good. It's so good. I would say the only rival, oh man, it's really hard to say a rival. Maybe the heals that come from Yuna, but she gets it constantly, which is so good. She'll never run out. The only thing is she's not good against enemies that cannot be debuffed. Again, just like Oran, if they can't be debuffed, she's not that good against them. Also single enemies, because a lot of her moves work against multiple enemies. Against single enemies, she's not that great. So we're going to move on to Ashe. Now, what makes Ashe so great, she has I would say the second best buff in the entire game aside from Kate Sith. Her buffs are so good. They increase physical attack, magical attack, attack speed, and they combine with other power-ups too. So if you have an attack power already on your teammate, with her buff, it adds to it. It combines. It's amazing. It's called overlap. It overlaps with the other buffs. It doesn't push them out of the way. So good. She also has amazing debuffs too that she can put on enemies, like reducing their max brave. So good altogether. The only thing that's bad about her is she has a low starting max brave. So if the enemy gets to attack first to do a lot of damage at the very beginning, she doesn't have a lot of max brave to really defend herself really early on. So just keep that in mind. Really slow start, but really amazing potential. And finally, for the S rank, we have Prish. Prish can target multiple weaknesses with amazing damage output. She does so much damage with all of her attacks, and her attacks switch off depending on the situation. Really good. Her EX is the best attacking EX in the entire game. It can maximize her max brave to 200% of what it already is. That is so huge. So if her max brave is already at like 25,000, it will go to 50,000, and then she'll follow up with an HP attack afterwards. That's so huge. I've seen a Prish do 50,000 plus damage in attack with just one EX move. Oh my gosh. So much damage from Prish. One of the best characters ever for damage. The only thing is the potential to lose turn setup if you're not playing Prish right. If you're not playing Prish right, then you won't be able to set up these huge damage outputs. As well as also if you run into a lot of resistances. Because Prish targets a lot of weaknesses, has a lot of potential to have a lot of resistances come Prish's way as well. So just keep that in mind. I think that's pretty much it for the S rank. We're going to move on to the A rank. We have Noctis, Laguna, Terra, Shadow, Vincent, Sabin, Titus, Warrior of Light and Snow. Now, I'm not going to go into each one of these, but they each have their own unique roles, and they can be just as good as any of these S ranks or SS ranks in the right situations. I personally love Terra. What a wonderful magic attacker. She is so good in so many battles and does so much damage, but there are so many more characters that are better in so many other situations. So these characters, even though they're A rank, they're more situational. And then from there it goes to B rank and C rank and D rank and E rank. And I'm not going to go into any of those. They're okay, and sometimes they're really good in specific situations, but for the most part, they're not worth it at this time in the game. For JP. Global, that may be a different store. But for now, in JP, this is what you're looking at. This has been Mal of our TC1. I also wanted to give a heads up for sponsors. There are new loyalty badges as well as new emojis, so check those out as well. And if you'd like to sponsor, hit that sponsor button. Go to https://gaming.youtube.com/c/malovartc1. And you'll be able to sponsor me. You'll be able to check out all the rest of the stuff. There's a giveaway going on right now for a $20 gift card for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, or Google Play. And the only way you have to enter into that, you don't have to be a sponsor. You just have to like this video, subscribe, comment on the video, or comment on other videos for the month of May, and the winner will be announced the first week of June. So I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Be sure to, like I say, hit that like button, tell your friends, share the video. This has been Mal of our TC1 signing off. Thanks.